Hi everyone, this is More Than a Garden. My name's Erin, and welcome to my test kitchen. Today is episode 1, sourdough. Now you might be wondering, why bother with sourdough? It seems so difficult and so hard to do. But I'm here to tell you that it is not hard at all. It's not difficult at all, and it's good for you. Here's why I like to do sourdough. I just started this. I'm by no means an expert, but I enjoy knowing what's in my food for my family. So I like to make sure that I know what ingredients are in the bread. Not only that, it's very, very tasty, very, very good. But one more reason why I like to make sourdough. Why not? Hi, welcome to More Than a Garden. This is Erin, and you're in my test kitchen right now while we do sourdough 1.0. Now, I first want to talk to you about Sourdough Starter. It's not hard. It seems like it might be a little daunting. It really kept me away from actually doing it for many years. I've thought about it off and on for a couple of years before I decided to actually do this. And it's a lot less difficult than I thought it would be. It is a little time intensive, so be aware of that. But it just takes time to be on your counter over the course of about 5 to 7 days. And you start basically with a jar, and I use the jar. You can use a glass, you can use a bowl, whatever you want to. And I just put 1/4 cup of flour and 3 tablespoons of water into the jar, mix it around, set it down on my counter. I cover it with a coffee filter. You can use a paper towel, but that's because you still want the air to get in to grow the good bacteria that's inside here that's going to cause the dough to be sourdough. So we put this on the counter. One tip I want to give you don't use tap water. And if you do use tap water, off gas it on the counter overnight or boil it to get all that stuff out that's going to kill the bacteria in here. So I happen to use filtered water, and I warm it up and get it warm so that it's a little bit warmer than room temperature, and that helps it to grow too. So every 12 hours, you're going to take this out off your counter. You're going to add another 1/4 cup of flour and 3 tablespoons of water, and then mix it around. And then you're going to take half of it out, and that's what's called the discard. Now the discard doesn't have to be thrown away. You can save it, you can put it in the freezer, collect it over the course of doing this, like every 12 hours you're taking out a little bit and putting it aside, and you can use that discard to bake with. You can use it to make crackers. I'm going to be making some banana bread later with it. There's a lot of different things, pancakes. It's not wasted. So you just put it in the freezer. It'll keep for about a year. So you've got plenty of time to use it, and just use it in your baking. You can use it in cakes, cookies, anything you bake with, biscuits, anything. So that while that's then growing, once you get it to a point where you'll kind of see a little bit of the bubbles in there, I don't know if that translates very well. I'll try to link another view of the bubbles that I had videotaped in another video. So just go ahead and check for those bubbles. If you can see how bubbly it is. And when I take it out and put it in the bowl, you'll be able to see it even more. So just go ahead and check for those bubbles. Once those bubbles start to form, about 5 to 7 days, then it's ready for you to start the next step. Now what you do then is you take the starter out and you put it in another bowl, a little bit larger bowl. And I've done this. This is actually starting to grow already. And to the starter, which was a very small amount, I added a cup of flour and 3/4 cup of water and mixed that around and left it out on my counter. This has been about 2 hours now. And you can see it's gotten a lot bigger. It's grown a lot since from a small amount to this. And I'm going to probably leave this out for about 6 hours. They say 6 to 10 hours. So depending on your time constraints, sometimes if this happens, I leave it out overnight. This just so happens I'm going to have this ready to make into bread by this evening. So once that's done, then I'm going to take my recipe, and this particular, I'm going to use the recipe for this. I'm going to use the 4 loaf recipe that I have linked down in the description. There's also one that's for 1 loaf, but I figure if I'm doing all of this, I like to use the 4 loaf recipe, because then I can bake all 4 loaves and then I can put them away in the freezer and have them available as the weeks go on, and I don't have to make this every week. So because I don't make it every week, I also want to remind you to feed your starter every week. So every week, once this is established, you can put a cap on it in your refrigerator, and then once a week, if you don't use it, go in and feed it and discard. And then it'll be ready anytime you want to use it again. So now once this is ready, I'm going to add I believe it's 9 1/3 cup of flour. It's, like I said, down in the description, and all the things, and I'm going to mix it around and let that rise overnight. Then in the morning, I'll be able to make the loaves and get them ready to put in the oven. Now here's the loaf that I have almost ready to go into the oven. And this is the 1 loaf recipe. And I'm letting it sit. I let it sit in the refrigerator, because what happens when you let it sit in the refrigerator, it will become more sour. So I'm going to actually let this one sit overnight and bake it in the morning, and it's going to be really flavorful by the time. Now you can go anywhere from 6 to 36 hours in the refrigerator with this, and you'll get a nice flavor. Hi, I just wanted to cut in real quick here and show you what the starter will look like after about 5 hours. It's been sitting on the counter. It's grown and it's bubbly, and it's just about ready for me to put in and make the bread. Now I'll take a cup of this out, put it in my bread recipe, and the rest of it will go into my jar in the refrigerator as my starter, as my mother for my next batch. So I just wanted to see what this looks like. It's looking perfect, and it's just about ready. Okay, now I wanted to show you how this looks once I put all the flour in with the olive oil and the water, and then I'm going to add the starter. But I wanted you to see the consistency. It's super, super sticky. And the only way to really do this is to you got to get your hands in there, and you got to get messy. Now here's my cup of starter. You'll notice it's sticky, but it comes off of surfaces pretty well. Sorry, my hand's in the way. And so once you get that in there and start mixing it around, let me see here. Now, last night my camera died, so I wasn't able to show you the folding that I want to show you today. I'm just going to take this out and show you. Although once this is raised, you probably don't want to do too much folding, but I just wanted to see how big this got. And it is a little sticky coming out of the bowl, but it will come out pretty well onto the floured surface. And I'll get the rest of that out in a minute. I just wanted to show you the folding. So when it's still in the bowl the night before, where I took it and I folded it over from each side, so 4 times like this, okay? And I did that. I only did it 3 times. You're supposed to do it 4 or 5, but it's okay if you miss. It's not going to matter that much. So now this is a little smaller, but I'm going to cut it into 4s, and we're going to make the loaves. So it's pretty easy. I just cut it into 4 sections, and then I am going to fashion it into loaves and get them in the oven. Actually, I'm not going to put them in the oven yet. Once I get these fashioned into loaves, this one's bigger because I'm going to do a round one. Once I get these fashioned into loaves, I'm going to put them in the refrigerator for about oh, they say anywhere from 6 to 36 hours. I think I mentioned that already. And then the flavor gets better the longer you keep them in there. So I have tried it. I did make one that was right from this step into the oven with just a little bit of rising. And then I let some others sit like overnight or during the whole day, and they did taste better. So the longer they sit, within reason, of course, the better they taste. Okay, I just wanted to show you that I got all of these fashioned and into the bread pans, and I'm going to cover them, put them in the refrigerator for, I don't know, probably till tomorrow. I'm going to hold off and see just how much the flavor is different. I don't need them right away, so I'm going to do a little experiment and see if there's more flavor. They've already been very good when I've left them just like about 12 hours in the refrigerator, so I'm going to leave them a full 24 and see what happens. Then when I pull these out, they're going to be, of course, they're going to fill the pans, and then I'm going to remember to slit, and I make slits in these just along here, and then I make a little fancy cross here, and then we put them in the oven. The important thing to remember when you're putting them in the oven is the water in the pan on the lower place in the oven, and then put it on 475 for 20 minutes, and then drop it down to 275 for another 20 minutes. And they're perfect. They come out wonderful. So I'll show you that in a few moments. Hi, it's the next day, and I have been baking bread all morning. It smells delicious in here. It's wonderful. I've got the bread here, some of it ready to show you how it turned out. And I've got this here, and it's delicious. We've had some already, and it worked out well. I used white flour this time, the white bread flour, and it worked out really well. The wheat flour didn't work as well for me. I have to tweak that recipe a little bit before I share it with you. I think I need to add a little more water, and I have to really look into that. So you can make this recipe with other flours. You just kind of have to do a little working and fixing and, you know, experimenting with it. So here's the other loaf that I did. I kind of had a little fun with this one, and it didn't. You want to probably try to get this so that it's a little more cut in, but it's still going to taste delicious, and it looks really good. So now I just want to encourage you to start your starter today. If you're curious at all about making sourdough bread, now is a perfect time to start. It's very rewarding to me to be able to make something so nutritious and delicious for my family with just a few simple ingredients. So I want to encourage that. Now, if you have any questions or if you have any tips for me that may be something I missed, please put them down in the comments, because I'd love to hear those and build my knowledge in this area, because it's always good to learn new things. Please help me grow my channel. Please like, please subscribe, and share this with your friends. I'm growing a community of like-minded women and men who want to do more and be more self-sufficient and do more things that don't require a lot of ingredients, that we know what's going into our food, that we're building gardens, we're going to have our own food coming out of our backyards, and it's just going to be a really great time for all of us to learn and grow together. So until next time, do what you can with what you have. And it's never too late to start somewhere. Bye-bye.